Hey knitters, come sit by me. Hi everyone, I'm Lisa and this is Lisa Makes, and today I have a knitting podcast for you. It's been about a month since my last video and I have been knitting up a storm, so I think I have 5 FOs to share and a couple of whips and some dream knitting. I'm also going to Barcelona Knits this weekend, so I'm going to tell you about that. And also my daughter has become a knitter, my eldest daughter, so we'll talk about that as well. Okay, so my first FO is what I am wearing. This is the Sophie sweater by Shimizu, and I'll put in a picture of me wearing it. This I started after my last podcast where I asked you guys, what should I do with the new to den? Which projects should I start first? And you guys almost overwhelmingly suggested this pattern. And I was like, okay, sure, I'm gonna go for it. And I immediately cast it on. This knit up in 3 weeks, and I even knit it to tunic length because often in the winter I'm going to my Pilates class or to work, and I don't have a car, so everything's on foot. And sometimes when I'm going to Pilates, especially if I'm wearing leggings, I really want something like longer to like cover my behind. You know what I mean? So I decided to knit this one a little bit longer. You can see here that the new to den is so beautiful. It's so lush. I don't know if the beautiful tones are gonna show up here, but literally the tones in this are like pink and coral and lilac. It just has so much depth of color. It reminded me why I love to knit with new to den, and I might even, well, depending on what colors they come out with in their next drop, I might get myself some for Christmas because I do really, really like it. I love the high neck on this. So one thing I did wrong is I kind of trusted an old swatch from a previous new to den, which is silly because of course they're all very different and I shouldn't have trusted that one swatch, but I cast on with the designated needles, which were, I believe, a 6. And once, I didn't mind it for the ribbing because of course I want that to like stay nice and high. But then once I got here, I was like, ooh, I feel like this is really tight. And when I measured it, I was like way off, like maybe like 4 stitches off or something like that. Then I went up to a 7, from a 6 to a 7, and then I went from a 7 to an 8, and I did the rest of the sweater in an 8mm. So like I said, I have some photos of me wearing it. I love this sweater. I wanted it to be big and oversized. I don't have a ton of oversized sweaters. So in this case, I just wanted to use up all of that new to den, and I literally used all but just a little nugget. So this is 420 grams of new to den, which is good to know because really if I'm knitting something smaller, like not so long and not so oversized, a 300-gram bag should be enough. Anyway, we'll see what happens, but I am really happy with this. The new to den is like butter to knit up. Like I know that most people, a lot of people don't enjoy unspun, but I really like it a lot. I love the feel of it actually, and it's really pleasurable for me to knit with. And it's not like butter in terms of softness, but just like the way it moves, and I don't know. There's just some yarns that I enjoy working with more than others, and this is one of them. So I even enjoy picking out the little pieces of hay and stuff that are stuck in it. This is obviously, if you remember, I'll put in a picture of the original. You can see that this is not 100% finished. I still have to add the stitches around the edge. Barcelona Knits is today and tomorrow. I'm gonna head down there. Oh, I just got bangs and I'm a little distracted. I'm gonna try not to futz with them. Okay, that's it, no more. I'm going downtown to Barcelona Knits tonight, like later this afternoon, and then tomorrow. And so I'm trying to decide which to wear. I kind of think I should wear this today. Oh, but I'd really like to wear it tomorrow. I was thinking if I wore it tomorrow, I'd have time to maybe do the stitching. I think I'm gonna do it in white, just like in the original. I feel like the white has like a nice pop to it. I don't think I wanna do a contrast. Even as is, it's such a nice sweater, but I think the stitching adds a lot. So I'll show it to you again once it's done. But that's the Sophie sweater by Shimizu. My next FO is a gift, so I don't have it with me, but I do have a picture, and it is the Sophie shawl by Petite Knit in Drops Sky. So I had a friend who had her 50th birthday, and so I decided to knit this up really quickly for her. And even though there are other free patterns for something very similar. In this case, I just went, you know what? I'm just gonna get the pattern. I'm just gonna get the shawl pattern. I feel like I'll follow it, I'll trust it, and it'll be done. And there's something about feeling really secure and confident in a designer that I think is worth paying for the pattern. So I bought the Sophie shawl, but obviously I made it scarf size, so it is not very big. I used one almost entire ball of Drops Sky, and essentially I weighed the ball. I then went 90% of half of it, so to 48% of the yarn, and on increases, and then I just did the decreases and gave it a quick steam. I think it took me 2 days tops. It's a great little pattern. Because I got the shawl, it can go in different sizes, but certainly this one is scarf size. I could see making these for gifts all the time because it's probably the quickest gift knit I've come across so far. And sometimes I find hats a bit of a faff, in the round, and then the decreases, you gotta change needles, and I don't mind doing a hat, but this was even easier. And I have a counting app on my phone. Let me find it. I have this one, My Row Counter. And so what I would just do is every time I finished a row, I would just, add the row, have it next to me on the couch. And then when I hit the number to do the increase, I did the increase, and then I just went back down to 1 and kept going up again. And so that was the easiest way for me, because sometimes with garter, I find it hard to count. And as it was a quick project, I just did it sitting on the couch and used my row counter. So that's the Sophie shawl by Petite Knit. Highly recommend. One more gift knit before I show you my second garment. Well, this is also a garment. This is a little baby sweater for a little baby person. This is the Piece of Cake cardigan by Sandra. I can't pronounce her last name. It's in Portuguese, but I will put it on the screen. And this is really, really cute. You can see it's got cables down either side of the button band, and then also a cable pattern down each of the arms. I don't know about the Piece of Cake part. It was actually a fairly involved knit. It took a lot longer than I anticipated. I wouldn't recommend this to beginner knitter myself, but I'm really happy with the finished result. I have these little brown buttons that I will use for them. I did the little high neckline, but it can also, well, I'll put in a picture because of it flat, and you can also turn it down, and it looks really, really cute. I used leftover yarn from another project for the most part. This is Ulysse yarn from Durera Natura, and I had to buy a bit more of the green because I didn't have quite enough. But I love the stripe pattern that I came up with just based on what I had left. And I think it's gonna be really cute. This is the 3 to 6 month size. It feels big to me. It feels much more like 6 to 12, but that's fine. The baby is now a little over a month old. I haven't got to meet him yet, but I'm gonna meet him, I think, this weekend. And so at least this will fit him through until the spring, and with any luck, maybe even in the fall. So better a little bit big than a little bit small, right? But very cute pattern. Would I knit it again? Maybe I might pick something else next time. Okay, another garment that I finished. I made a commitment to myself to pick up my old whips and finish them off before starting something new. So actually, I finished the baby cardigan and this sweater before I started this. And now I have a couple more whips that I've pulled out that I'm gonna show you. But this is the Revival sweater from Anke Strick. And I knit this in Knitting for Olive Merino. All of these colors, except for the gray, I had purchased to do last year's MCAL for Stephen West. And then after the first clue, I wasn't really interested, and so I didn't do it. So I wanted to really put this to good use, and I feel like this is the most autumnal palette. I love, the way the stripes intertwine. There's nothing, the pattern is not 4 stripes, so I had to make that up myself. And basically I just did 8 row repeats. I actually had already bound this off here. Oops, sorry. I had already cast this off here, but when I tried it on, it was just long enough, and then when I raised my arms, it would ride up, and there's nothing I hate more than that. So I did another full repeat. Now trying it on, I almost feel like it's a bit too long. I almost should have done half a repeat, but It is very soft. It is a great use of this yarn. I will wear it. It's very comfortable. It's next to skin soft for sure. And the pattern itself was really lovely to do. So I'll put in some photos of me wearing it. What else can I tell you about this? Let's see. So this was knit on a 3.0 millimeter needle for the most part. And actually the bottom ribbing you don't even change. There was supposed to be 1x1 ribbing on the cuffs. I decided on 2x2, and I did it in the gray just because I had more of the gray than everything else, and I wasn't sure if I'd have enough yarn. Turns out I have a ton of yarn, and I can make a matching hat if I want to. Well, I'm not gonna make a matching hat, but I could. I probably might make a hat from the leftovers. But anyway, so here it is, Revival by Anke Strick, and I will put in some photos of me wearing it. Before I show you my last FO, I wanted to give you an update on the course that I was doing last month. I was telling you about the course I was doing on Notion through Skillshare, and Skillshare is the sponsor of this video. I started a course on Notion last month when I first started working with Skillshare because I've had this program on my iPad forever. My 18-year-old uses it all the time to organize both of her schoolwork and also her tutoring that she does. And so I know that it could be such a great tool for me, but I just didn't have any idea to use it. And the great thing about Skillshare is you have classes on pretty much any topic, from graphic design to painting to knitting to computer programs that you may not know how to use yet. And so you can just follow your curiosity, follow your creativity through so many different learning paths. You have the opportunity to really just extend your knowledge. I really believe in being a lifetime learner. It's something that I teach my kids and that my mom taught me, being a lifetime learner and learning just for the sake of learning, not because you necessarily want to follow it as a career or you necessarily want to do it full time in school, but just to learn, just to like broaden your horizons and expand your knowledge. My mom really taught me that, and I'm hoping that I've taught that to my kids. And maybe the fact that my daughter has started knitting, shows that actually has continued on to the next generation. So if you would like to maybe follow your creativity a little bit and learn something new, the first 500 people to click the link below will get a free month of premium Skillshare. Okay, so my last FO is this hat. So my youngest, who is 16, needs a hat. She goes back and forth to school on the train, and she commutes quite a ways, more than an hour. So I really wanted her to have something cozy, and I had bought a ball of Drops Air last year, and this is very much her kind of color. And I just thought, okay, what am I gonna do? So I went on to Ravelry and I just found a Drops Air. I found the Drops Air, and then I just went into the projects and went into hats and just found one that I liked. And I found a free pattern, and that pattern is called the Beanie. The Beanie is by Jenni Kuutti, who is Finnish. And this is a free pattern on Ravelry. It's a really nice pattern. I like it. It's super easy. I just, because it's a free pattern, I can tell you that I just cast on 80 stitches, did a whole heck of a lot of twisted rib, because you're actually knitting it this way. So half twisted rib for a good chunk, she says in the pattern, I don't remember. And then you flip it around, do a German short row, and continue with stockinette all the way to the top. And then when you're done, you fold it twice, and all of that twisted rib comes out on the outside, and you have 3 layers around your ears. So let me try it on for you here. Oh, I love it. I am someone that I hate it when the wind gets to my ears. So I think that's like the key to staying cozy, is having nice warm ears. So this feels really nice and snug around my head. I did not block this. I did not steam it, nothing. I just thought, you know what? It looks nice. It's comfortable. It's soft. I don't think there's any need to block it. I'll take it off again. Fix the bangs. Oh well. And yeah, so Lily loves this, and now that I've shown it to you, she can wear it. That is all my FOs. On to whips. So like I said, I'm trying to stick to more or less, of finishing 1 or 2, it was supposed to be 2, but now I'm gonna say 1 or 2 whips before I cast on something new. So this whip, you might remember, this is the Drevo pullover by Teti Lutsak. I have made a lot of good progress on this. So if you remember, I'm using Cami Jo Knit Wool Linen Blend in this gorgeous color. It's so beautiful. And it's funny because I often knit this at work or at my choir rehearsals or whatever. And every time I pull it out, someone says, oh my God, what a beautiful color. Every time, I swear. Here's what I have so far. So I have progressed quite a bit since you last saw it. Let's see if I can. Okay, so as you can see, I have now finished both sides. I've done the 3 needle bind off here and a 3 needle bind off under there. I finished the sleeve, including a whole big long ribbed cuff. And now I just need to pick up for the other sleeve, do the other sleeve, and then you pick up around the bottom, or not pick up, there's live stitches on the bottom, and you do ribbing for as long as you want the sweater to be. So, I mean, I just love this pattern. I think it's so beautiful. Let me show you the back. It really is beautiful and unique. This pattern, you must be in the mood to focus. You must be in the mood to like think outside the box. This is not mindless TV knitting at all. It's something you really have to focus on, but at the end, I know that I'm gonna treasure it. I'm gonna absolutely treasure it. So that is going back on my needles. As a matter of fact, I probably will put because I literally just did the bind off on the other side. So I think I'm gonna pick up for the sleeve today and then bring it with me tomorrow when I go to Barcelona Knits. Next work in progress that I really want to finish before Christmas. I started knitting this last year. This is the How sweater from Filcolana. I don't remember the name of one second. Rachel Sogaard. Rachel Sogaard. I don't know how to pronounce it correctly, but close enough. So this is a really cool Genser that has a really beautiful pattern. I'm going to show you the back because the back is all done already. And you can see all that texture there. Can you see that? I started this last year in recycled cashmere. This is one of my first cashmere sweaters that I ever unraveled. And I have a good amount, like you can see here. I have to hold it double though, and I'm not sure I'm gonna be able to get a full sweater. It may end up being a slip over. We'll see. It is what it is. It's nice and thick and cozy. I have about maybe like 20 more rows of the chart to do. And I'm a little nervous because when I measured it, I feel like the chart repeats that I was supposed to do. Like I feel like my row gauge is off, put it that way. And I'm worried it's not long enough. So that's a little disheartening. But what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna do a little more and then I'm gonna give it a block and I'm gonna see, because I might just turn this into a slip over. But it's so Christmassy, right? It's so Christmassy. So I really wanna finish it in the next couple weeks, either way, either as a sweater or as a slip over, so that I can wear for Christmas and my kids can borrow for Christmas. My kids love to borrow my sweaters. So if I just get it done, then that'll be great. So those are my two main whips. I also would like to do a couple of cast-ons. Well, I have one that I definitely will be casting on very soon. So I am doing the test knit for the Crea Bea. I'm doing her Staffin Cardigan, the V-neck version. Now, I always knew that I was going to be a little bit behind starting that test because I needed to finish a few other things first. It goes through until the beginning of January, so there's lots of time. And then she's just recently decided to add charts to the pattern, so I thought I'm going to wait to start it until the charts are all set and ready. So I have this yellowy, it's almost like a chartreuse. I don't know if you can see more. It's almost like a chartreuse color that is recycled. It's a 92% wool, 8% cashmere. So it's soft enough to wear next to my neck, although a V-neck cardigan doesn't matter. I love kind of how chunky the wool is. This one I actually did steam. So I know that I said I don't soak my reclaimed yarns, and I don't. But this one I just felt could use a little more softness, and so I did steam it. So you can see that this one is a little less ramen-y. than my normal reclaimed yarn. And I've done 2 of these. I have a bunch more. So I might do it in this color. I also have some navy blue, 50% wool, 50% yak. And I'm a little bit tempted to use that. But then in this, the texture is gonna show so much nicer. Whereas in the navy, you won't really see the texture. So maybe I'll save that for something else. I don't know, I haven't decided. And then, so that's definitely going on as my next sweater whip once this is done, or even before, we'll see. And then I definitely wanna make myself a hat, another hat. And I had a Stockholm hat, Oslo hat. I'll put in a picture. I made this when I first came to Spain. So I made it like almost 6 years ago. And I just never wore it because my gauge then was very loose. My knitting was very loose. And I don't know, it was always too loose on my head. And so I never wore it. And it was paired with mohair and I found that a little bit itchy. So I frogged the whole thing. Here is the frogged Juliazlin Fino, which is such a precious yarn. I don't want it to be in something that I'm not gonna wear. If I went deeper into this ball, you'd find other colors because that hat had all different colors. So I'm not going to pair this with mohair. I'm going to keep it as is. I believe I'm going to use a Pearl Soho pattern, and that pattern is called, hold please, the Far and Wide hat from Pearl Soho, which is just a stockinette hat. I think that I just want to do not a muscle burrow, but that kind of feeling where it's just a lot of stockinette that you can then fold up again so I can have it double over my ears. So a slightly tighter gauge that will hold on to my head. I'm commuting on foot. I'm walking about an hour plus a day, probably closer to 2 hours a day. Yeah, so I would like to be able to have this. So that's the other thing. And then the other thing is I didn't buy an Advent. I don't think I've ever actually bought one. I did an exchange one year, but I haven't actually bought one. But when I was in Toronto last, I bought this. I've always wanted one of these self-striping yarns. I've never had one. I've had like a Regia or a Schachemeier, right? But I haven't had a hand-dyed one. So this is Straight Me Up, 80% superwash, 20% nylon, and the I believe it's called Don't Mess with Ruth. Don't Mess with Ruth, the colorway. And the company is Scrumptious Pearl. Anyway, I just thought that was so fun. And I was thinking that even though I don't have an Advent, I'm just gonna do a stripe a day, probably on 2 different socks. Well, yes, I'll split it in half and I'll do a stripe a day so that I'll have sister socks by the time Christmas comes, because I'm just now starting to dive into all of my socks and my hand knit socks. I just opened up the bag that had my hand knit hats and cowls in it and stuff, because only this week has it got cold enough in our part of Spain to really need it. So I should mention too that if you've been watching the news and the very, very sad events in Valencia, as well as Almeria and parts of Catalonia as well, but especially Valencia, where there was so much loss of life, where we got a lot of rain, but we didn't have any flooding where we were. We did have flooding in parts of our town, but there were no injuries in Barcelona or our town that I'm aware of. School was canceled, people stayed home. I think because of what we were seeing in Valencia, people took those warnings seriously. Not that they wouldn't have in Valencia, they did not have time. They did not have time, right? But we did, and I think people took it very seriously because of what happened. So it's very ironic because Catalonia has been in a drought for years. Like we haven't had, the public waters in terms of like at the beach, the showers at the beach and whatever have been turned off for like 2 years. And now to get all of this crazy rain. So yeah, it's disconcerting, but hopefully the worst is over and it won't be so rainy going forward. Okay guys, that's all for me today. However, I have an Ask Me Anything coming up. There's a lot of new people who I haven't seen before. You might have some questions about me or about knitting advice or living in Spain, anything like that. Do leave me a question below and I will get to it next time. Don't forget to click that link below for Skillshare if you'd like to give it a try. The first 500 people will get a free month. So I am off to Barcelona Knits, and I will hopefully bring you some footage from that next time. I'm really looking forward to getting with like-minded knitters and squishing all the lovely yarn. And then also next month, I'm going to Stockholm with my daughter, my eldest. She and I are going to take a trip together. And now that she's a knitter, she's all of a sudden decided to start knitting. She wants a sweater's quantity of yarn for Christmas. So I think while we're in Stockholm, we might have a look for that. So hopefully I can take you on a knitting wander around Stockholm. Anyway, I hope that wherever you are, the sun is shining and you are knitting or sewing or doing whatever makes your crafty heart happy. And I'll talk to you soon.